Welcome to Major League Baseball season. Matt Brown, Mo Nuwwarah here for you from the Lines. Everything we do, guys, absolutely free. So go ahead. If you're just joining, if you just found us because you're looking for baseball content, go ahead, hit that subscribe button down below. Do appreciate it. We're going to give you our 10 favorite bets heading into the 2025 Major League Baseball season. Lots of stuff happening in the offseason, lots of stuff happening here in spring training as we get ready for opening day. So, Mo, let's kick things off here. What is your first bet we're looking at here heading into 2025 season?
Okay, I think I decided my favorite future is going to be Royals under 83.5 wins. This one, you can find 82.5 elsewhere, so you know the DK line is one win off, and it's no extra juice. It's minus 110 on the under, so looks like some line value right away. And then when I just look at the Royals roster, 86 wins last year, but I see a lot of downside on this roster. I think they're one of the most vulnerable to injury because so much of their value is tied up in their top two guys, Cole Reagans and Bobby Witt. Either of those guys gets hurt, I think this team's just dead in the water right away. And obviously, one of them is a pitcher, so you're already like 50-50 whether the guy's going to get hurt. Some of their supporting cast, too, pretty underwhelming, I think. MJ Melendez, Michael Massey, these guys have surprisingly good projections that I'm not really bought into. I mean, the computer has MJ Melendez as a positive contributor with the bat, which he's never been. I don't know where it's pulling that out of, to be honest with you. So then you look at just the rest of the lineup. I mean, the bottom of the lineup is so bad. Hunter Renfroe is still a starter. I mean, that guy hasn't he's been belonging as a platoon, bench bat for years. Salvi last year, he was great, but he is in his mid-30s. He had a career season. I don't think he's going to come close to that. Vinny Pasquantino is one of the players who's actually good. He's already hurt. He's always hurt. And he also has very optimistic projections, I think. I think I saw a 124 WRC plus. I don't think he's ever had that number outside of his first season, half season, whatever in the bigs. So I'm not really sure where that number's coming from either. And obviously they got a ton of value out of their pitching staff last year. Seth Lugo, Michael Wacha, these guys seem bound to regress. They had amazing seasons that were much better than anything they've done in the past. So I just think tons of downside on the Royals. I don't understand why the projection has them, the market anyways. I mean, the computers don't like the Royals, really. They have them around 500, so slightly below this, but I'm a little more bearish than that.
I'm with you. I think that division is incredibly tough. Not anything that is not one of my top five here, but I did bet the Tigers in that division to win. As you said, I mean, you're looking at a 35-year-old Seth Lugo, a 34-year-old Michael Wacha, a 33-year-old Michael Lorenzen, who's never been good anyway, and that's supposed to be who's going to carry this outside of Cole Reagans. I can't really get there, and as you said, you get one of these dudes go down that is actually a contributor in that lineup, be it Witt, be it Pasquantino, be it Perez, whoever it might be, it's going to be a very bad lineup. And so I'm with you. Given the competition in that division with the Guardians and the Royals, with the Guardians and the Tigers and the Twins, I'm with you. I think that team is certainly being overvalued out there. Definitely love that bet. For me, first one for me, Yankees to miss the playoffs. And now I bet this even before the Garrett Cole news, so that lets you know it only makes it better for me with the Garrett Cole thing. I look at that division with the Orioles being very, very solid, with the Red Sox being very, very solid, with the Rays, I think under the radar could be a very solid team. And I'm not even writing off the Blue Jays. I mean, if you get kind of a bounce back season from a couple of these guys in their pitching staff, and certainly Bo Bichette is not as bad as he was last year. He was playing through injury. We know Vlad is a stud. I think that they could even cause some trouble there as well. They got this Yankees team, as you talk about some of these other teams that are already hurt. Boy, is this Yankees team already hurt. Outside of Garrett Cole, you got Luis Gil, you've got Giancarlo Stanton, you've got, some of these other guys that are lesser contributors, but still coming in with injuries as well. I'm going to have to rely heavily on young dudes in Volpe and Dominguez who may or may not be able to cut it. I mean, we don't really know. We assume their pedigree is great, but we don't know if they're going to be superstars or not. And so given that division, given how they're coming in, given all of the injuries that they're dealing with here, Yankees to miss the playoffs, my first bet.
That seems pretty good to me. I mean, obviously the price, we're going to talk about this later when we talk Red Sox. At this point, it's just like tougher because the injuries have squared up some of the prices here, but I was generally down on the Yankees as well, even before the injuries. I'm with you. A lot of question marks in the lineup. Obviously losing Soto was big. Just Austin Wells projected to lead off, I'm seeing. I mean, Ben Rice, Oswaldo Cabrera, like we don't know if these guys are going to be any good.
Yeah.
And the bottom of the pitching staff is really rough right now. Obviously the bullpen looks strong, very strong. But yeah, I mean, Carlos Carrasco projected into the rotation right now. Will Warren, he had a rough debut, but who knows? You know, it's just a lot of question marks. And I'm
they
with
didn't
you
even
that
want Marcus Stroman to be a starter, and he's now their number 3 guy. Like, I mean, that's how bad the things have gone for this team. It's like they didn't even want him to be in the rotation, and now he's their number 3.
Yeah, Stroman's fine, but he has among the lowest error bars in the game. We know what Stroman's going to be. He's going to provide roughly league average innings. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, not a lot of upside really on this roster. Some real downside. And like you, I have a lot of respect for all the other teams in the division.
What is your second bet we're going to talk about here?
Okay, this one unfortunately has moved a fair amount. I still think it's playable though. Mm-hmm. Diamondbacks playoffs, yes. I took minus 118. There's still a 115 though. If you have an MGM account and you're able to get a decent amount down there, then that's, I think, still really good. Everywhere else is at like minus 130, minus 135, which I think is getting closer to the right price. This one actually moved against me initially, so I felt kind of weird about this one. I got 118, like I said, and then everything dipped to 115. I didn't understand it, and now it looks like common sense has prevailed with the Diamondbacks. Really a strong roster, top to bottom. They seem really well insulated from injuries to me. They have tremendous pitching depth, and I just think it's hard to find a lot of weaknesses. I mean, the bullpen was pretty bad last year. The starting pitching was too, but that was mostly injury related. I think they bring in Corbin Burns, Eduardo Rodriguez, and Merrill Kelly coming into the season healthy. I mean, this should be a very good rotation. And I mean, they have even Ryan Nelson was like actually pretty good for them last year, and he's not even opening in the rotation. So I think they're pretty well insulated there. And then the bullpen looks much, much better than it was last year. I know AJ Puck absolutely sucked, and I probably made more money fading AJ Puck last year than any other pitcher. That harebrained idea that the Marlins had to try to move him into the rotation, but he's really a good reliever, you know. And then Justin Martinez looks like a potential monster, so they have a really strong top 2 in the bullpen. Corbin Carroll, a little bonus bet for you guys. I think Corbin Carroll MVP plus 4,000 is worth a punt there. So he's bound to bounce back, you would think. So I think the Diamondbacks are just a really strong team. And yeah, I know that they probably won't win their division, but there's still multiple playoff spots to go around. And this is a really good team.
Well, let's just go ahead and dovetail that right into my second bet, which is Diamondbacks to win the NL. And so over the course of a 162 game season, the Dodgers are very highly likely to prevail. They are so deep and have all the stuff we talk about the depth of the Diamondbacks team. Obviously we know the depth of the Dodgers as well. They're probably going to go 6 deep once Shohei starts pitching a little bit and all of that. And that's fine and dandy. Over the course of 162, sure, they should win the division. Well, let's shrink this down into a playoff scenario, and you look at this rotation like you just said, and if I can shrink this down to 3 guys, and I'm going Burns, Gallen, and then whoever ends up being the best of the 3 between Kelly, Fadden, and Rodriguez, now I'm really liking the Diamondbacks' chances in a, again, smaller sample size against this Dodger team. And so for me, I think it's a better bet to just bet the Diamondbacks to win the NL, in which you might be able to get them in a shorter sample size than it would be to think that they could upset the Dodgers in the division race or something like that. And honestly, if you if you are one of the handful of people out there, and I actually haven't met one yet, that actually thinks this Diamondbacks team is better than the Dodgers, you might as well just bet them to have the best record in Major League Baseball then, or like to have them be the number one overall seed or whatever. Because if this team is going to overcome this Dodgers team, they are very likely to be the best team in baseball then. And so you probably are going to get way more bang for your buck if you just bet them to have the best record or to have, the number one overall seed or whatever it might be, because to overcome the Dodgers is going to be a hell of a feat in over 162 game season. But Mo, if I can shrink that down, right, and I can get this into just a playoff scenario, I like the Diamondbacks' chances with that rotation being shrunk down, and then like the lineup, like you said, I really do like this lineup pretty much 1-9. Considering you can go to a Randall Grichuk in a platoon situation to put him in. He's a lefty smasher, can't hit righties. Well, good, okay, fine. He only comes in and he plays against lefties. I mean, there's a lot of upside here, I think, for the Diamondbacks team.
Yeah, if I was going to bet one NL pennant future, I think it would definitely be the Diamondbacks. I'm with you there. I was kind of a coward this year on my my longer shot, kind of like World Series / pennant futures. I didn't really bet anything. The prices weren't quite where I hoped they would be, but yeah, I'm with you. And actually, best regular season record 40-1. I actually don't hate that as well.
Yeah.
I don't think it's terrible to bet Diamondbacks to win the division either. I haven't looked lately, but I did see plus 1,000 a few weeks ago, and I think with the Dodgers hogging all that equity, I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility. But yeah, like you said, it's playoff baseball. It doesn't even no guarantee they even have to face the Dodgers. I mean, yeah, maybe the Braves, Phillies, or Mets, one of these teams topples the Dodgers. It's not like it's playoff baseball, short samples. It's not like that would be mind blowing,
Yeah. No, absolutely. All right, let's get to your third bet.
All right, well, let's get into the Red Sox. Unfortunately, the number has moved quite a bit. I got 440 several weeks ago before all the Yankees injuries started cascading. I still think plus 300 is good enough to bet, though. I actually think the Orioles are playable too. I think it's just kind of take your pick because the Yankees have too much of the equity, in my opinion. So if you like the Orioles, I'm not going to argue with you. They're also plus 300. I personally prefer the Red Sox. I kind of think they're the AL version of the Diamondbacks, just really, really solid across the board. I like the additions they've made. My major concern here is probably Garrett Crochet. I mean, I think on a rate basis, he's going to be one of, if not the best pitchers in baseball. But when you go up to 150 innings from 50 or whatever he was at the year prior, I get nervous. So I'm a bit worried about Crochet, but they have great starting pitching depth as well, similar to what the Diamondbacks have. I mean, when they're opening the season without Cutter Crawford and maybe one other solid name that I'm blanking on was they're not even in the rotation.
Yeah, Brian Bello's not going to be in there, but he'll be back.
Yeah, Bello is nice. Like I think he's going to actually have a good season. Like they put. So he's just a ground ball machine, and he was pitching in front of an absolutely atrocious infield defense. Yeah. But they shored up their infield defense. It should be much better this year. I think there's a fair chance this is the best team in the AL. I was never bought in on the Yankees like we talked about. And, yeah, I think we know the West teams are just pretty good, similar to kind of the level that Boston's on. And we know that the Central teams are probably not on this level. So I think there's a reasonable chance Boston is the best team in the AL this year. I mean, Tanner Houck took a big leap last year. Obviously, Alex Bregman should be hand-in-glove fit on that team. It's just not having Rafaela to play the infield is going to be massive. And they have two absolutely elite prospects that they can call up to. So high upside with Christian Campbell. Not calling up, I guess, because I guess he's starting the season on the roster, so we'll see how that goes. But also, I'm not going to say consensus, but both Keith Law and Fangraphs had Roman Anthony as the number one non-Roki Sasaki prospect in baseball. So that sort of firepower being available to you as well in terms of reinforcements. I mean, the Red Sox just have a really strong team. I'm happy for Boston's fans that team ownership decided to stop pretending like they were poor. So, Yeah, now they're the team that they probably should be with that budget.
And if Trevor Story gets injured or doesn't pan out, Marcelo Mayer is also lying there to come in. And even though he's going to start down in AAA, I think this is one of those things where if Trevor Story gets hurt like he has over the last several years, or just stumbles, out of the gate, this is another elite prospect that can come up and fill in that lineup. I'm with you. We talked about this right before we start recording. We didn't want to have the same bets, but I also have this bet in my account. Really solidified it with the Bregman signing as well. Just built perfectly for this park. And like, if you want to talk about a dude that might be like low key, under the radar, lead the league in RBI type deal, if he's going to hit third in this lineup or fourth in this lineup, and he's just going to bang balls off that wall in left field, like anybody that's on base is just going to score left and right. I mean, like he's going to have a ton of RBIs for this team. I mean, that is just absolutely perfect for Bregman's skill set and what he brings to the table. And so I think there's going to be a lot of runs scored in front of him. So really do like this Red Sox team a lot. So glad you had that one in yours. My third one is, hey, listen, I understand injuries suck and we can't predict injuries. And so I'm not going to predict an injury for Mike Trout. Mike Trout says he's healthy. The organization has moved him to a corner outfield spot to try to protect him a little bit more. They said they're going to run him a little bit less on the base pass. But that doesn't zap someone's power. And they opened this absurdly low at 21.5 home runs. I got it at 22.5 home runs. I think 22.5 home runs is still available. Maybe it's up to 23.5 home runs for Mike Trout. But for one, we don't even need a full season out of Mike Trout for this dude to hit 23 home runs. Like, I mean, that's like the deal in all of this. They just started it so low. The algorithms just did not come out with the right number for this one, in my opinion. And Mo, is he likely to miss some games? Probably. It's Mike Trout. He hasn't played a full season in quite a while. But again, if I can get 100 games out of him, I feel pretty good about this. And shoot, 125 games, he's going to soar over this number. Mike Trout can still hit the baseball. It's just he's got to be in the lineup to do it. And so I thought they started this way too low. It seems some of the people out there got keen to it and it betted up at least a homer or two. But even at 23.5, I mean, like, we're talking 24 home runs for Mike Trout, that this was an automatic every single year for this guy. He's still one of the best hitters we've ever seen in our lifetimes, just dealing with a bunch of injury type of stuff. But I think that they're taking the right step, moving in the corner outfield, saying they're not going to run him as much on the base pass, all the things like that. And so might even find him, getting some DH at bats to where he doesn't have to worry about, getting himself injured as well. So Trout over home runs for me. And I think, again, just might be 3 or 4 homers too low for me.
I don't have anything to add to this one, but I wish you the best. I mean, we know what the situation is here. His lowest projection is, he only has one projection that's lower than this number, which is Zips has him at 18.
Yeah.
Which they only have him playing 76 games.
Right.
I mean, this is just 100% comes down to how many games he plays.
It's like, if he gets the requisite games, he flies over this. And if he doesn't, then he doesn't, and so I'll play that they can keep him healthy enough to get me, 100 games out there for this. What is your fourth bet?
This one hits me where it hurts, as I am a Braves fan. I think I must be the low man in the world on the Braves, though. I'm surprised that there's this much Braves optimism out there. I took under 93.5 plus 100, still available out there. So market is indifferent on this one. This was the first thing I put into my account this offseason. I don't know why the market is so certain the Braves are going to be elite again. I mean, did somebody come into the organization and teach these hitters to stop swinging at balls and nobody told me? I don't know. That was the most frustrating watch ever last year. It was every single day the Braves just flailing at every pitch sent their way. But I don't know about, obviously there should be a dead cat balance of some sort when it comes to these bats. But, Ronald Acuna, I don't know what he's going to look like when he comes back. He sucked last time by his standards when he came back from a knee injury. Sean Murphy's already on the shelf. They're bringing up a kid who has a lot of promise in Drake Baldwin, but is probably like a AA level player right now. I don't think he's should be starting the season as the catcher, but we'll see how that goes. Really, again, looking back at some of the same things I talked about with the Royals, very optimistic projections, in my opinion, on some of these pitchers. That's my biggest question mark with the Braves is really this pitching. I mean, Chris Sale, on a rate basis, like I said with Garrett Crochet, I think he's going to be among the best. I still have him projected among the best in the world on a rate basis, but the projections have him anywhere from 150 to 190 innings. That seems wildly optimistic to me. He has not hit those numbers aside from last year since 2019, which is, if you're counting, that's 6 years ago. And I'm even rounding up there. That was 147. I mean, that just seems really optimistic to me. Ronaldo Lopez, 3.5 win season out of nowhere last year, and the projections are all the way bought in again. They're projecting something similar. Again, I'm skeptical here for obvious reasons. I don't even think I need to get into that. AJ Smith-Shawver starting the season in the rotation. He has not shown he can get upper-level hitters out. 4 walks per 9 in AAA last year. I don't know. I mean, there's been prospect optimism on him for years, but it just hasn't come to fruition. I mean, all the prospect guys are still all in on him, so maybe I'm just judging off my lying eyes, which every time I've seen him, he's struggling to get guys out. I mean, pretty good ERA, but a FIP over 6. I mean, I think that tells you all you need to know. And then Grant Holmes in the rotation, he's a converted reliever who he did well last year, but he made the majors for the first time at 28. I mean, I don't know how you can trust any of this. I love Spencer Schwellenbach. I think he's going to be great. But again, we have like half a season of performance there. It's not for certain that he's going to be, very good. I think he will be. I hope he is. Again, love the Braves, and he's close to my heart too. Spencer Schwellenbach was a Husker, so rooting for him for sure. But I just think way more question marks than the market is baking into with this team.
The thing that I keep hearing with the Braves, and like you said, it's like it all seems like rose-colored glasses with them, which is why I'm a bit skeptical on the team as well. I actually have a ticket on the Phillies in this division, which is, well, it'll be a bounce-back season for Matt Olson and Michael Harris and Ozzie Albies. And sure, Jurickson Profar, even though he was horrible for 8 years, is going to just keep up what he's doing or whatever. And then, hey, Jared Kelenic, he was a great prospect 8 years ago. And this, so like every single thing I hear is always like, oh, well, this guy's going to bounce back, and this guy's going to bounce back, and this guy's going to bounce back. And what, sure, Jurickson Profar just decided all of a sudden he's a good player, and Jared Kelenic is going to be fine at the bottom of that rotation. So, yeah, I mean, I haven't really heard the opposite end of like, well, what if Michael Harris isn't what he was his rookie season? What if he's more of what he was over the last couple? We're not really getting that side of all of this, which is still a fair question to ask. Like, I mean, I guess if you asked me, what do I think he is? I think he's probably closer to the better player than we had. But again, we don't really know. He's 24 years old. He might be more of the guy we saw, over the last little bit. So I'm with you on the fact that it seems as if all of the sentiment around the Braves and these players has all been incredibly positive, and that everything's going to turn for the better, as opposed to us saying like, well, what if Michael Harris is just mid? What if he's not like what he was his rookie year? What if Ozzie Albies is more mid than he was? These are not things that I'm hearing.
And what if the Braves win 92 games? Like,
yeah,
they're still a really good team. Like,
right.
There's still room for the Braves to be good and them to go under 93 wins. So I don't know, man. I think everyone is way too confident about the Braves, just basically.
That being said, this goes right into one of my picks, which is optimism on the Braves in Spencer Schwellenbach. This is mainly a number play here on a Cy Young deal. I mean, I got this before some of the other people hit it. I got a 55. It's down to 40 now. I mean, if you wanted to play 40, if you wanted to have a longer shot ticket in your account on a guy who I do think the ceiling is super, super, super high. I think that this guy has, Mo, we're looking at a guy 9.24K per 9. He's walking under 2 per 9. Like there are a lot of stuff here for a very young pitcher that is showing signs of someone that could be dominant in Major League Baseball. I mean, if we look at back last year, right at a 1 whip for him. I mean, this is like a guy that we were, getting 13.5% swinging strikes with. We were getting a 25% K rate and a sub 5% walk rate. I mean, if it wasn't for Paul Skeens last year, everybody's probably talking about Spencer Schwellenbach and what he did, but then Skeens just came in and took the world by storm. I still think it's Skeen's award to lose, but also Skeen's is 3-1 and this guy's 40-1, right? I mean, we see pitchers get hurt all the time. We see things happen with guys in Major League Baseball once you get a whole bunch of film on them. Like, do I think Skeen's is awesome? Is probably going to dominate? Of course. But stranger things have happened, and we're getting 40-1 on Schwellenbach, who I think talent-wise, yes, not quite there with Skeen's, but boy, he's a very, very, very talented dude that I think is going to have a lot of good years in front of him.
Yeah, I mean, I already talked about him a bit, but I love Spencer Schwellenbach. I mean, it's really hard to find a hole in his performance last year. I mean, you just really can't do it. He limited hard contact. He struck guys out. He didn't walk anybody. I mean, he did everything you're supposed to do. So good luck finding a regression marker in Spencer Schwellenbach's. I mean, the only thing is just the sample size isn't big enough that we can be certain, like I said. But, man, the pitching bot is absolutely all in on him. 2.88 ERA it gave him last year. So, yeah, I think with all of his pitches, too, I mean, these guys are going to be tougher to figure out. Like, they have more of a floor, I guess. It's harder for the bottom to drop out when you have, 5 or 6 pitches that you can rely on, and Spencer Schwellenbach does. I think it looks like a future ace.
Yeah, I agree with you. All right, what's your final bet?
Okay, my last one's a little bit weird. It's on DraftKings. They have some head-to-head wins markets.
Oh.
I bet a couple of them. One of them that I think is really good, Giants over Guardians, plus 125. I cannot believe the Guardians are minus 165 in this market. Heavy juice in these, so it's kind of hard to find some value, but there were a couple that I thought were good, and this was my favorite one. It's kind of a way to leverage that I'm slightly bullish Giants and slightly bearish Guardians. So I think that adds up. The win projections are like close to dead even with these two teams. I mean, you just look at what the computers are expecting. I mean, they have the Guardians winning, 78 to 80 games. They have the Giants winning 78 to 80 games. I'm in agreement with that. Cleveland was not probably. They were the luckiest team in baseball last year. I mean, I think they were like 11 wins over their base runs, which strips out sequencing for people who don't know what that is. So, I mean, that's obviously going to regress. That's kind of baked into their win total, but I still think it might be a little bit too optimistic. I mean, I was all in on Cleveland last year. I had them last year, but man, this team, the starting pitching is terrible. Tanner Bybee is their ace. He's not a real ace. Then they have basically all question marks after that, and they traded away one of their best hitters, Josh Naylor. Relying on prospects, relying on just glue and MacGyvering things together. And their bullpen, which was the best in baseball and projects as one of the best this year, but bullpen performance is volatile. It's very, very hard to rely on. It's not sticky. Small sample sizes. These players could be worn out. Some of them pitched a ton of innings and appearances last year. I think there's some downside to Cleveland. I don't like them very much this year, but again, the market doesn't really either. So I wasn't really like running to bet their win total.
Yeah.
But I see this Giants team, and they're pretty solid all around. I mean, the offense isn't the most exciting, but they have like some decent hitters pretty much everywhere. And I do like the rotation, I think, more than the market. Logan Webb is the most consistent guy in the game. And then Robbie Ray, Justin Verlander, I think they're still going to be pretty decent, especially Robbie Ray. I like the bullpen quite a bit. Ryan Walker was excellent last year. Tyler Rogers just keeps doing it. And now that Duvall's not in like the highest leverage spots, I think he should be fine. So as long as their old guys don't fall off in terms of the pitching, I think the Giants are just going to be a solid, competitive, roughly 500 team. So to get plus 125 here when I think this is basically a flip, I think it's good.
I think Robbie Ray is like a sneaky Cy Young guy too. Just like, dude's got the talent, we've seen it recently too. I mean, like we've seen him be good recently. It's just kind of like out of sight, out of mind. We forgot about him. And, moves to a favorable park, all the things like that. I think Robbie Ray is kind of an under the radar guy. My final one, I cheated a tad. Yes, it's two guys. They're on the same team. And the reason I'm throwing them both in here is because one of them is going to stick. I don't know which one it is, but one of them is going to stick. Kumar Rocker, Jack Leiter, AL Rookie of the Year. Both of these dudes, if you were with us a couple of weeks ago when we talked Rookie of the Year, hopefully you had some tickets already in on these guys, but both of them are going to end up breaking camp in the rotation. I don't know which one's going to stick. Maybe both of them end up going and having really good seasons and both of them stick, but at least one of them is. And you're still getting pretty good numbers on both of these dudes. About double on Leiter than you're getting on Rocker, which almost makes me like Leiter a little bit better than Rocker right now. But Mo, I mean, two super, super talented dudes, two guys that played high-level baseball in college. They've got enough innings to where I don't think we're going to be limiting too much with both of them as well. And, again, all the stuff, all the accolades, all of the prospect guys love these dudes as well. So getting a chance with both of them here. And like I said, you're getting about double what you're getting on Rocker with Leiter. So maybe lean that way a little bit more if you only want to bet one. But I think you can put both of them in there, at small bets and see what happens.
Rocker's moving against us on FanDuel. 25 now?
Really? The other way?
That. Come on, guys.
He made the rotation. He moved the other way.
I don't get it either. Yeah.
Wow.
I think part of it is they're giving some more equity to Christian Campbell after he made Cam Smith as well. That they both made the opening day rosters and are projected to be starting. So they might have a leg up on and just obviously that's going to flatten out and reduce the odds of some of the players that are right around them. But yeah, I mean, I think Rocker's really good at 25, man. I just don't. I think when you're starting the season in the rotation, and we've seen Rocker get major league hitters out, he's going to be hard to displace, I think, especially when the guys coming back from injury aren't super exciting. Like John Gray is just a whatever pitcher, So, I mean, if these guys, Leiter and Rocker, perform, I don't think the team is going to be rushing to plug John Gray and Tyler Mahle or whoever else over them.
I'm with you 100% on that. And it's another deal that I've been trying to explain to people of late is just some of these teams are coming around on just playing younger guys sooner. It took forever in baseball. I mean, we were all beating our head against the wall for 20 years. Like, why is this dude who is obviously ready, whatever. Like, we've gotten rid of some of that at least. And then the other deal just about Leiter and Rocker just in general is we're not talking about 21, 22-year-old dudes, right? Like Leiter is 24 and a half. He's going to turn 25 in the middle of the season. Rocker's already 25. So we're not having that whole well, we got to preserve these dudes. They're only 20. They're only 21. Like, these are 25-year-old dudes, right? Some of these guys at 25 have been 3 full seasons under their belt, at this point. So again, I think even more reason to back up what you just said is where there's no real reason to try to force them out of the rotation if they're doing good, because it's not like you're taking a 21-year-old dude and trying to preserve his arm. These guys are 25.
Yeah, it's time for them to contribute to the major league club. I mean, it's that simple, especially when the team is trying to win. And what you're saying is basically the Braves model. I mean, they've been doing this for about the last 5 years. Just throw all their young guys in and see what sticks. I mean, it's pretty much worked. I mean, especially when it comes to this is sports. This is sports. Guys get hurt. You don't know how long you have with these guys, so you might as well get some value out of them and see what they've got.
I agree 100%. So, like I said, a little bit of a cheat. I know it's 2 bets to round things out, but listen, they're both on the same team, both in the same rotation. So, whatever. Take it. Don't hold it against me here. I know we said 10. You get 11. All right, there you go. A couple of little bonus bets along the way from me and Mo. Guys, can't wait for opening day. Me and Mo will be back throughout the course of the season. We'll be updating you on some bets that we're throwing into our accounts, how the lines have moved, how our sentiments on some of these teams have moved as well, and how you want to get some of these bets. Because that's the other thing about baseball. Long season, odds change, sentiments change, so we can still put bets into our account along the way here as we get going in Major League Baseball. As a reminder, everything we do absolutely free here at the Line. So please, if you haven't done so already, join 50,000 plus people who have already subscribed to this channel. So be one of those people. It's not just baseball. It's every single sport up and down. And we're making sure that you are getting the free plays here at thelines.com. For Mo, I'm Matt. Good luck on all your baseball 2025 bets.